Mic check 1, 2, it's the Boba Joe crew. Mark Lennon, Johnny Sorensen coming straight to you. Talking classic eras, yeah, we setting the scene. Films, games, tunes, toys, you know what I mean? From the old school vibe, feeling so divine. Boba Joe show, drop the beat so low. Heavy bass lines make your speakers blow. Kicking it classic, from heads to the toe. Yeah, baby, yeah, watch the Boba Joe show. Mortal Kombat, Predator, Scarface in the flow. Miami Vice vibe, MacGyver on the go. Alien screams, NBA Jam all night. Pro wrestling legend, shining ever so bright. Macho Man Randy, Ric Flair. Yeah. Show, drop the beat so low. Heavy bass lines make your speakers blow. Kicking it classic, from head to toe. Yeah, baby, yeah, watch the Boba Joe show. Action figures lined up, ready for the fight. Ninja Turtles power shining ever so bright. Transformers roll out, masters of the universe. Classic memories can't be reversed. Boba Joe, that's the flow. Boba Joe, Boba Joe.
Welcome to the Boba Joe show.
Loving that intro.
Just trying it out, something different.
Yeah, digging it. Yeah.
It's really like 90s style.
I was going to put, yeah, I'll put up my phone hand here. There's going to be a lot of phone talk today.
Is it going to be collect call?
Hope the reception's coming through okay there. I know I'm on a bad line.
What's that? Pizzas? Burgers? Yeah, I'll send them over.
We will be talking about Die Hard with a Vengeance, but I'm actually just trying to remember because I would say when it comes to phone acting, and any long-term viewers or listeners will know we're a big fan of phone acting.
I genuinely am. I joke about it, but I genuinely like seeing good phone acting.
I think the last time we had a level of phone acting that was on the high bar could have even been as far back as when we did our Dirty Harry review. There was a lot of phone acting.
Dirty Harry, and there was some Adrian Barbeau as well last year. She had some good phone acting.
That's right.
As well as others.
Oh, and The Fog. Yes, The Fog had a lot of phone acting as well. You know, we love it though. We love pay phones, and we love chords and dial tones. We love people explaining plot via a phone call. Explanatory dialogue delivered in the form of a phone call. We love it all. We just love it.
I miss just talking on landlines. I hate like mobile phones and shit. I mean, they're not phones. They're computers, but we do the million things on and hardly use them as phones. But I like the comfort of the landlines and the big chunky thing that actually fits your hand, rather than the flat thing that's slippery and drops out of your fucking hand all the time, and then you break the screen.
So yeah, look, and don't worry, folks. We're not going to give you a history of, you know, telephony and phone communications or anything. We just thought we'd let you know that we do actually love old phones, and we love that that life that existed before regular smartphone usage. You know, so.
Yeah. An old rotary phone in an action movie can also be used as a weapon. They're heavy. You can pretty much bash someone's head on the
We finally landed on our third Die Hard. We are in the Christmas season as we speak, but this movie is not a Christmas movie. There's
it doesn't take place at Christmas. It's different. It's in New York, and actually the song starts off like "Hot Summer in the City," which is definitely not. It's not winter.
Not winter, and you know, maybe not your typical Die Hard movie in the sense that because we had two Christmas-based adventures so far, we are switching things up a little bit.
Yeah. And like the first two are quite claustrophobic, and this one's the opposite. We're out in the open. There's lots of different locations, and it really like changes up the formula, but it works so well. It's such an excellent film to watch then or now. I really enjoyed watching it again today.
We're going to get some new characters in this one, which unfortunately means we're kind of saying goodbye to some old characters that don't here in this. Holly McClane is now not in the movie. She's mentioned, she's spoken about, but she never appears on screen. Of course, she was kind of like a focal point of Die Hard 1 and 2 because she was in a situation where she needed to be rescued, but she does not play a factor in this movie at all. Another character that's missing or not included is Al Powell, you know, the cop who helped McClane in Die Hard 1, and he also had a little moment in Die Hard 2 where he was doing
we
some
get
research.
kind of a substitute for him in all sense with Graham Greene, who I'm used to seeing with the bald head. He's a Native American actor who's in a lot of stuff. He's in like Longmire and a lot of modern TV shows where he's a lot older now. I didn't recognize him at first because he had hair. He had like a full head of hair, and he's like an excellent character actor. But he pops up a bit, and he's kind of like the sympathetic cop to McClane, and another kind of like jobber guy who's just like, you know, he's been through the shit and doing a terrible job. He's a good man doing, you know, hard job and all that.
Yeah, we're kind of given would you say there's like a roster of maybe 5 or so cop characters that kind of fill in the gaps of the previous characters? There's
pretty much.
There's that guy you mentioned, you know, there's the bomb squad guy, there's a few
the bomb squad
regular cops.
I do like at the beginning of the film we get the terrorist, well, we get a bomb going off right at the start of the film, like, well, this is serious business, we're not mucking around. It's somewhere in, you know, kind of like downtown New York in a busy street. But then we get like that's like an intro, the first 10 minutes, and then the film kind of officially starts after that. We get the scene with McClane getting sent down to Harlem with the sign with the bad words about African Americans written on it. So the terrorist has told him to go down there and cause a scene. And then after this scene where he meets Samuel L. Jackson, whose name is Zeus, but he calls him Jesus, thinking that's his name, and he's like, "I'm not Puerto Rican, you idiot." We get this awesome kind of like, the film really starts to me when we get back to the cop shop, and we get this panning camera showing like the precinct and all the guys, and I'm like, holy shit, this is just like the start of RoboCop. It's like all the people, and it's all busy, and there's chaos and people everywhere, but it feels lived in. It feels like it's not like still shot cut here back and forth. It's like panning around, showing us like everything that's in there, and really taking us into that world. And like I just love it. It feels like to me, like Die Hard 3 feels like the end of a certain era of action films before we got to like post 2000. Everything went like Transformers, Fast and Furious, Avengers, where it became like all the explosions and the shit going on became the spectacle, and the story and the characters took a back seat. Here it's the reverse. There's a lot of cool action on this, but most of it's story, dialogue, characters. It's really well done. New York is kind of a character in this film too. We see a lot of real life New York locations, and it feels like a really lived in world. It doesn't feel like we're in a studio lot or looking at sets and shit. It feels like a lot of practical shit, but a lot of good character moments and just great dialogue and great directing from John McTiernan.
Yes, John McTiernan has returned after taking a brief hiatus. It was Rennie Harlan who did Die Hard 2, but
yeah, he did an awesome job.
McTiernan, he did an awesome job. And you know, this movie, like we're going to talk about it today, like in comparison to Die Hard 1 and 2, like it may not be as like, you know, balls to the wall violent, but it's still a very kind of graphic and rough movie in the sense they're not afraid to show violence and the real kind of rough side of doing the type of job that John McClane is doing. And it's a very kind of gritty and realistic film in a lot of ways. Obviously, you're still going to have the fantastical element of the one man kind of guy going all out against a terrorist organization. But other than that, like, you know, it's a very kind of down to earth movie, and it definitely feels like it belongs in the same world as Die Hard 1 and 2. Like it follows on nicely from them.
It's cool we get to see him on his home turf as well, because he's a New York cop, but in other films he's on holiday, seeing his wife. It's Christmas. He's out of his element, whereas here he's back in his own element, and it really pays off at several moments of the film where he knows, like, he knows the layout of the city, he knows where things are, and he makes connections that no one else would make who hadn't lived there when it comes to names of places and things that you just wouldn't know if you weren't from New York.
Yeah, as Johnny mentioned there in the beginning, like the movie, it really just it starts off with a bang. Quite literally, we get the
Yeah.
we get the big explosion in the department store, and pretty soon afterwards, the cops are looking to pick up John McClane because a mysterious caller who only identifies himself as Simon has instructed. He's let the police know that he's the one who's planting these bombs, and he's going to set off more bombs unless they follow his instructions and do as Simon says. And Simon says for John McClane to go down to Harlem and wear a sign. We will not repeat the words that are written on the sign, but it's not a good thing, basically, and it's something
No.
that's quite insulting to the people, the residents of Harlem. So it's quite a risky endeavor for John McClane to partake in. And when we kind of first see John McClane in the movie, he is probably in the worst way he's been since we've ever seen him. He's very hungover. He's probably still drunk. He's obviously been on the lash the night before. He was probably still drinking when the cops picked him up that morning to go on and do the mission. We also know through the dialogue that he's actually currently serving a suspension, so he's not even kind of technically on duty. He's been suspended for whatever reason we do not know. So he's definitely down in his luck in this movie. Like, obviously he was going through a bit of a rough patch in the other movies, but in this movie it seems like he's kind of nearly hit rock bottom. He's just, as he even says himself, he's like one step away from being like a full-blown alcoholic, I believe, is one of the
Yeah.
lines
Yeah, he's
later
got
on in the movie.
like, he wakes up with a headache, and he has all through the film he's hungover. Trying to get over it.
Yeah, I think his hangover is very well conveyed in this movie. I think, like, I feel for him a lot of the times. I can actually kind of feel,
Well,
apart
you
from
can
the
see at
fact
the
that he's
beginning of
going
the film the
through.
lights are like hurting his eyes and stuff,
Yeah.
and he's just like, I don't want to be here.
Can you imagine sitting in the back of that police paddy wagon? You're getting kind of jostled around, and you're probably still half pissed from the night before, and they're telling you
Yeah.
you have to put the sign on. And it's even funny, like when he asks for the aspirin at the beginning, like, yeah, the lady gives him like one or two tablets. He's like, no, more, and he's just eating them like he's just spooning them into his mouth, guzzling them down with some coffee. So yeah, Simon says McClane has to go to Harlem and wear the sign, and he does that. And while all this is going on, we are introduced to Zeus, who is Samuel L. Jackson's character. He gets a nice little intro where we see these two young children going into it looks like a kind of electric shop this Zeus is running, and Zeus is their uncle, and they're like, hey, uncle, Tony gave us this stereo to sell to you. And Zeus is like, well, Tony's after giving you stolen goods to haul around town, because Tony's obviously a bit of a scumbag and he's getting kids to try and sell stolen goods for him. So Zeus, he chastises his two nephews. He hits them both over the head with a newspaper and tells them to go to school. And as the kids are heading out the door to the shop, they see John McClane across the street, and they're like, hey, uncle, there's a white guy across the street. And Zeus is like, yeah, I seen one before. And the kids are like, no, you never seen one like this. So then Zeus comes out of the shop and he sees old John, and he sees that John is wearing a sign, and he reads the sign, and he's like, oh man. So he goes over to try and defuse the situation, because there's a group of young black men further down the street, and he's trying to essentially warn John, hey, look, man, like, I know you seem kind of crazy or whatever, but if those guys see what's written on your sign, they're going to kill you. And John tries to explain to him that he's an undercover cop, but before he can do that, one of the guys notices the sign, and all of a sudden we've got this like large crowd of people surrounding John McClane. very pissed off about what he's wearing. They cut the sign off him, and it looks like they're about to kill him. Like they literally bash a bottle across
Yeah,
his head.
they're real street toughs. These aren't like church going youth or anything.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, John McClane, he falls to the ground, and as he falls to the ground, Zeus notices that he's got a pistol taped to his back. So Zeus, he grabs the pistol and he warns off the other guys, and him and John McClane, they jump into a taxi and they manage to escape before the guys can catch up to them. And
Zeus gets like slashed pretty bad in his arm, like he's
really, really bad gash on his arm. And he's not happy with John McClane at all.
Those guys would have actually stabbed or stomped him to death and jumped in.
And he does mention when they're driving away that they're probably smashing up his shop right as we speak, like, which is, that probably did happen. But yeah, great intro to Zeus, or Jesus, as John thinks his name is. Do I look fucking Puerto Rican to you?
Yeah, I love Samuel Jackson's like so good as being. He's meant to be like a regular guy in this film. He's not meant to be like, you know, Pulp Fiction or nothing like that. Or he's not meant to be like a gangster. He's not meant to be like fucking Nick Fury in Avengers. But he's still just like an angry man. He's like, but he's not always angry. But he's very convincingly gets angry for a real reason when he's like just pissed off at just the inconvenience of these idiots coming to his neighborhood and stirring up shit.
It's a fantastic role for him. It actually kind of had me wondering this week if there was ever any initial consideration of maybe having John McClane with an actual partner, as in a cop partner, because Samuel L. Jackson would make a great partner for a cop, Bruce Willis, like in terms of doing like a buddy cop movie.
I didn't think about that watching it, but it very much is a buddy cop style of film when you look at how they're partnered together from the start and they're always playing off it. It's very much like the Riggs and Murtaugh, that sort of relationship, and you know, one's getting pissed off at the other and all that. And
they have a really, really good dynamic because they rub each other the wrong way. Like right from the get-go, they're just not getting along. And even when we see here in this great spread we have here with them being in the cop station and everybody on the phones, you know, Zeus initially is like, well, I don't fucking want anything to do with this. Like, you know, I saved them. I
tells
saved
him
the white guy.
up his ass or something to the terrorists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can stick your well-laid plan up your well-laid ass.
That's it.
But he's going to walk out of the situation, and it's only John McClane. You know, he tells a bit of a fib. He tells Zeus that they found a bomb in Harlem, which is a lie. They'd actually found a bomb in Chinatown, but he thinks it's the only way he'll convince Zeus to go along.
I missed that until he mentions at the end of the film. I just wasn't paying attention, or I missed that bit of dialogue.
Yeah, he lies. He lies to get Zeus on board. I suppose he had no choice in a way. He had to get him to cooperate because Simon on the phone does say that if Zeus, it has to be Zeus and McClane, or McClane and the Good Samaritan, as he likes to call Zeus. But yeah, we see some great phone acting here. Like everybody's on the phone here. We got the chief, you know, we've got this criminal psychologist guy who's like listening in, you know, everybody's kind of tapped in. They're trying to run a trace on Simon, but he scrambles the phone lines and they end up, it leads to a phone booth in Austria and then Australia and then in Japan. And, you know, he's doing the GoldenEye thing where all the address is just bouncing around and nobody can get a fix on him. But
I like that the captain or whatever they show, he's like level-headed. He's not a typical like angry, I'm sick of your shit, McClane, and he's not that kind of over-the-top one. He's more not like sort of like Lethal Weapon and Beverly Hills Cop, where the captain is always like screaming at them, sick of that. He's more like a real level-headed actual police captain guy and they show him as like quite competent as he deals with the different threats in the film. And the McClane and, you know, Sam Jackson, they get to do the kind of buddy cop dynamic and like, but the rest of the people are like just playing it straight, like super serious. This is like a real threat. We're gonna have to deal with this and not muck around. And
look, just like in real life as well, like John McClane would be a total fucking head case to have to deal with and a complete problem. Like like if you were John McClane's boss, I would say he is a pain in the arse to have to actually
Yeah.
deal with and manage. So the fact that I think Walter is the name of the guy, he's so level-headed in the sense that like you know, even when he's unsuspending John and John's kind of like, "What, you telling me I'm going to be a cop again?" He's not getting in his face. He's just like, "Just do your job, Lieutenant." You know, he's kind of like just to the point. And we're going to see a couple of instances later on where he's kind of good at maybe planning on the spot and getting people to kind of cooperate and do things. And so yeah, Walter's a good character. We also get a little bit of background into the type of bombs that we're dealing with. We have the explosive expert guy. He brings in a suitcase and he's like, "Look, um, this is basically how the bombs work. It's a binary liquid where when the red liquid mixes with the clear liquid, that's what combines to make the explosion. And it's a really powerful chemical explosive that they're using, and has the capacity to do a serious amount of damage. He demonstrates by mixing 2 tiny drops of the liquid together and like throwing a little bit of a pin at a chair, and it like blows the chair out of the office. And so it's a nice little demonstration on how powerful these explosives that the terrorists are
I like
using
that
can
it
actually
shows
be.
also that without knowing much about the terrorists or the bomb threat people, that you know, we know it's Jeremy Irons and that playing a German, of course. We don't know much about them, but as soon as you see that, you're like, whoa, this is on a different level. This isn't like nail bombs or fertilizer bombs and shit you're buying at like the home hardware store and building a shed. This is like real professional level stuff that very few people in the world would know how to make or even get the right ingredients and all that sort of thing and put it together. It's like super, super high level professional shit. So, you know, it's like just a different level of threat. It's not like, oh, it's just a bomb and we'll sort this out and we'll negotiate with the terrorists. It's like, no, he's got so much of this stuff, and even a tiny amount can cause a gigantic explosion, much bigger than regular explosives.
Yeah, the IRA would have loved that shit.
Yeah.
They would have been all over that. But yeah, it's and at this point we only know that Simon is a terrorist and he has these demands. We don't know who he is. We don't know really what his motive is, other than he does not like John McClane and seems to be obsessed with putting him in situations where he's going to be in danger and possibly die. And you know, the psychologists can't really give us much more information than that. Like, they're able to work out that he's German and a couple other things, but other than that, they're not really able to get a fix on who he is and what exactly the overall plan is. But we do get instructions from Simon saying that McLean and Zeus, they have to go to a payphone and essentially await further instructions. So we get what will be the first of many kind of tracks across New York where McLean and Zeus, they're running to get to this payphone in time. They barely get there in time, and there's a lady already on the phone, and John McClane, he tries to politely ask her to get off the phone, but she's not listening.
He's
So
really
Zeus is
polite,
like,
and that lady's so obnoxious.
yeah,
Because
but
he's
Zeus
like,
is like,
I'm a
God damn
cop.
it.
We need this is serious. You're just like, ah.
Yeah, just totally fucking, you know, like totally dismisses him, you know, doesn't even acknowledge him. But Zeus fucking makes her listen because he's like, get off the goddamn phone, police business. You know, he is just yelling at her, you know. And so McLean, he picks up the phone and Simon's on the other end of the phone, and Simon is like, why were you delayed picking up the phone? And McLean is like, oh, well, you know, it's a busy street and blah, blah, blah. And then
It's
Simon's
like
like,
your hotline or something.
yeah. Simon's like, why didn't you just tell me that there was a fat lady on the phone and you had to get her off? So this kind of spooks out McLean and Zeus because now they know they're actually being watched by Simon. He can actually see what they're doing apart from the fact he's talking to them on the phone. He's actually obviously also got eyes on them. He's got some type of surveillance on them. And he gives them their first kind of riddle slash task complete. Now, my memory is the shit, so I'm going to try and just see if I can pull this up real quick. people who are listening are know the deal now. It's the old St. Ives riddle. You know the one I'm talking about, don't
Yeah,
you,
like
Johnny?
that one I've actually heard before. So straight away, the first time I watched the movie, I had no clue. But since then, I've heard that and knew it was going to be one.
Okay, so I'm going to read it out for verbatim as
Yeah,
the internet or the shitty AI slop search has told me. So, as I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How
I
many
mean,
were going to St. Ives? Now,
it's so good
uh,
because it's tricking straight away into math and multiplication and
yeah, it's tricking you into working out these computations to multiply how much. But the trick is that there only is one person going to St. Ives, and that's the
yeah.
narrator. It's the person saying, "As I was
If you'd
going to
ask
St.
Jack
Ives."
Reacher, he'd go, "Details matter." One, he would have it 2
Yes,
seconds.
because all these people, the husband, the 7 wives, the 7 cats, they're all coming from St. Ives, or they're not
Yeah,
going to St. Ives. It's
yeah,
only the one guy that's going to St. Ives. So, first of all, they almost get caught out. They try and do the whole multiplication thing until Zeus kind of cops it. He's like, no, wait a minute. The answer is 1. So they get the answer right. They phone Simon back, and he's like, oh, well done, but just for the laugh, I've actually put a bomb in the bin beside where you are anyway, and it's about to go
yeah.
off right now. So McLean and Zeus, they dive to the ground and they're like screaming for everybody to get out of the way. But then it turns out it was just a joke because he never said. Simon said.
Yeah, it was
So,
hard to say.
so you know that Simon's a bit of a douchebag as well.
They definitely have more fun with it. There's serious threats and bombs, and I mean, people do die in the film, but somehow, miraculously, in the first few explosions, other than the first one in the film, where we don't really see what happens because it's like traffic in the street, but presumably people die. But then they go, oh, someone got injured, or this didn't happen. But like, people definitely die, whether they say it or not in the film, just the amount of explosions they have.
Yeah, well, this second explosion that we got coming up, it actually it emphasizes your point perfectly because there's no way, even though we don't see any straightforward gratuitous death, there's no way with what happens next that people didn't die. So the
Yeah,
next task is for McLean and Zeus. They have to get to this subway platform to get to the phone. Otherwise, there's a bomb on a train and it's going to go off if they don't get to the phone and do the next step.
yeah, and
So
it's in like Wall Street.
McLean decides that he's going to go and try and get on the train itself and stop the bomb, but he's going to send Zeus to answer the phone, with his mindset being that one or the other will be able to accomplish their task. Either McLean will be able to get the bomb, or Zeus will get to the phone on time and complete the next step. And
And
Zeus
he
asks him
does
the
manage to jump
question.
onto a moving train, which is incredibly dangerous.
Yes. Zeus asks him though, what if we both fail? And he's like, well, then we're both fucked, is John McClane's answer. And he is right there. So yeah, John McClane, he runs down onto the subway and he jumps onto a moving train. And in the meantime, Zeus has to drive all the way to Wall Street in busy traffic to try and get to the subway station where the phone is. There is a little funny kind of side moment here where Zeus is stuck in traffic and a man gets into the back of the taxi and demands
Yeah,
he be
it's a
taken to Wall
taxi.
Street. And he even says that he'll phone the authorities and have Zeus's taxi license suspended if he doesn't drive him. So Zeus willingly complies. And while all this is going on, we have John McClane. He's running through the subway train. He's frantically searching up and down, and he realizes that there's this like emergency phone that's like magnetically attached to the wall. It looks kind of fake. It seems to be able to move up and down very easily. So he opens it and he realizes that the bomb is contained within the casing of this emergency phone. So he tries to, calmly evacuate people further up the train and orders them to go up to the top end of the carriage while he moves his way to the bottom to try and to throw this bomb out of the train before it goes off. In the meantime, Zeus, he's made it as far as the subway platform. He's running down the stairs. He jumps over the carousel where you would usually pay, and he's spotted by a cop not paying. So the cop pursues him. So Zeus, he manages to make it to the phone. Just as he's about to pick up the phone, the cop kind of pulls a gun on him, and he's like, "Hey, you know, you didn't pay, and I'm going to arrest you. And you know, I'm pulling a gun on you, which is total overkill for someone who didn't pay. You know, but
Yeah.
you know,
I love
this
this
is in
thing because he
this is
screams
New
at the
York
person who's
back
on
in
the
the
phone,
90s.
and then this cop so overreacts with his gun, and he's shaking the whole time, like as if you'd think Zeus had a rocket launcher or something. The way he's shaking and quivering, I'm like, the guy got angry, did some dodgy shit. There was no need for a gun. That's just like escalating where it doesn't need to be happening. You should just be talking to him.
Well, you see, Johnny, that was the problem with New York policing in the 90s and how they racially discriminated.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know, because that's what's happening there. And plus the cop, he's probably a rookie as well because he's shaking so bad. Like,
Yeah, he
probably,
seems
like,
that way.
you know,
No experienced dude is pulling a gun out because someone yelled at someone and jumped over a turnstile who has no weapons, who's not doing anything visibly threatening, and he's like 10, 20 meters away from him.
But anyway, Zeus, he's like, look, well, I got to answer this phone. So if you're going to shoot me, shoot me. And of course, he doesn't shoot him. And Zeus is able to answer the phone. And he answers the phone. And Simon's like, okay, are you both there? And Zeus is like, yeah, I'm here. And Simon's like, where's McLean? And Zeus is like, oh, well, you know, he's kind of out of shape. He'll be here in a minute. But Simon does not like this. He says the instructions were both of you on the phone. So you've now forfeited. So he hangs up the phone. The bomb is armed. McLean just about manages to get the bomb thrown off the train before it explodes, but the explosion is massive. And this goes back to what I was saying, or what Johnny was saying earlier. Even though we don't directly see people dying, there's no way that an explosion which causes an entire like train carriage to upend and like go up onto a platform and blow a big hole in the main
into the
street.
whole enclosed underground New York subway. People definitely fucking died, even though
people
in the scene after was like, oh
people
yeah, they just got
died.
injured. And like, no, people definitely would have fucking died in that enclosed space. Yeah. Even not from if the train didn't hit them, the effect of the blast would have killed a number of people and just splattered 100%. Their internal fucking organs and brain, and like knocked them over and smashed them into stuff, and you know.
No, there's definitely a lot of off-screen death in this movie for sure. A lot of estimated death.
I'm guessing they were going. I don't know, but I'm guessing they were going for a certain rating with the film or whatever, because it's very like specific when it's like, oh, nobody died.
Now, what happens next though? It's kind of like it's a bit of a crucial point in the plot because two things are kind of explained here. The first thing is that bomb was going to go off even if they'd gotten to the phone in time, because Simon had pretty much given them an impossible task.
It was impossible to get there on time.
So McLean kind of determines that for whatever reason he wanted this bomb to go off in this particular area, which happens to be Wall Street, which will be an important factor later on. The second thing that happens here is McLean and Zeus are ordered to get into the back of like this kind of van alongside Walter and some FBI people. And the FBI people, they start asking John McClane a lot of questions. They start showing him, they start showing him photos of people he doesn't recognize and asking him if he recognizes them. And finally, this guy who's wearing sunglasses, who hasn't been saying much the whole time, he's just kind of been watching him. He finally explains that one of the people in the photo, the guy Simon, the person who's been speaking to McLean on the phone the whole time, his full name is Simon Gruber.
Yes.
And he is the brother of Hans Gruber, of course. Hans
we get a
Gruber,
brief cutaway of like that scene of him falling off the building inserted into the film.
Yes, we get the cutaway of that, and of course we all remember Hans fondly. He was a great character in Die Hard. He was the man with the plan. We all loved him dearly. And now, though, we have his brother.
It's a nice clue to what happens later on in the film too, being the brother and the overall plot and structure compared to what happens in the first one.
Oh yes, yeah. And there's even though we'll probably talk about it more towards the end or at the end, and even though like this film is they mix up the formula quite a bit in this movie compared to the first movie, but there's still a lot of callbacks to the first movie that, you know, eagle-eyed viewers will definitely notice. But so yeah, we've got Simon Gruber now, and Simon reveals that he has placed a bomb in a school somewhere in New York. He's not going to tell them which school. All he's going to tell them is that the bomb's going to go off in 3 hours. And he also has another task for McClane and Zeus to complete. And then he also finally adds that the detonators on the bombs are triggered by police and FBI radio signals.
Yeah,
So
really, any kind of
from
radio signal could trigger it.
yeah, so from here on in, the emergency services essentially are not able to use their radios. So this is going to cause even more logistical problems.
And it's very
So
suspicious that all the earlier bombs were like, "You've got to get over here in 20 minutes or 30 minutes." Like, impossible time frame. Go now. And then the next one's like, "Oh, it's in 2 or 3 hours." Like, that's really suspicious. Like,
yeah, and there's definitely there's a few eyebrows beginning to be raised here now. As you mentioned earlier, though, about Walter, he's quite calm and collected in this situation. So he quickly kind of gathers together. There's like, you know, the fire chief, there's like ambulance crews and stuff. He kind of gathers them together and explains, look, this is the threat that we're under. There's been a bomb placed in school somewhere. We can't use our radios, but look, we're all going to coordinate together and we're going to get the police, the fire department, the FBI, the National Guard, all these kind of authority organizations, and they're going to go to each school individually and start sweeping them for explosives, which sounds like an insanely fucking hard, impossible task, but their backs are up against the wall essentially, so they've no other choice but to do this. So all the various authority figures kind of flee in different directions to go and search the schools. McClane and Zeus start heading towards the next phone where they have to complete their next task. And as all this chaos is going on, we see that Walter has left one of our cops there just to kind of watch what's going on around Wall Street where the last bomb is blown off. And we see all these dump trucks pulling up on the street. And the cop himself even kind of notices, like, hey, that's kind of weird. Where are all these dump trucks going? But before he can even kind of question it, Simon Gruber himself, Jeremy Irons, steps on screen, and he's channeling the spirit of his brother from the first movie because he's putting on an American accent. He's like, "Hi, you know, I'm Jeff whatever from the city engineering department, and we're here to assess the damage." And he sells the cop this big line of bullshit, and he's like, "Oh, well, you go and show my men where the damage was and where the bomb went off." And the cops all like, "Oh yeah, it's great, you guys got here so fast, and you know this is a great situation." So he trots off with these city engineers to go and assess the damage. Meanwhile, Simon and some other um, serious looking guys walk into one of the banks where the alarms are going off. And the reason the alarms are going off is because the explosion earlier has set off all the alarms on the block pretty much, and it's causing chaos with the security systems.
yeah, the Federal Reserve.
So we've got many moving parts, you know, going
And you
on
got
here.
Jeremy
So
Irons being 3 characters in like 5 minutes.
yeah, it's so good. He's actually really, really good in this. I know people don't talk about Simon Gruber a lot. We always talk about Hans Gruber, but Simon Gruber is a pretty badass villain in his own way. Um, Very slippery, very sneaky. He definitely has his brother's aptitude for complex
Yeah,
plans.
he's got the Euro trash vibe going, but he's also kind of cocky and self assured and a bit cheeky as well.
So there's a few things then begin to happen. So first of all, we see that the engineers who go down underground with the copter are not really engineers at all, and they end up killing the cops that are with them and
And
taking their
taking their
badges.
badges and uniforms.
And this is probably a good time to say, because I forgot to mention it earlier, at the very beginning of the movie, when the cops pick up John McClane asks, did anybody catch the lottery numbers last night? And one of the cop who's just after getting killed, he replies that he plays his badge every week for the lottery, and his badge is 6691. That's the number on his badge. He says he always plays those numbers when he's doing the lotto. So that was thrown out there at the start of the movie. So now these bad guys are after taking that cop's badge because they're going to disguise themselves as a cop. So this is going to come into play later on. So we got this going on underground. In the meantime, Simon, he has entered the bank. He's speaking with the bank manager. He's there to do a currency exchange. He's supposed to be from like some large European company, and they're going to do this big currency exchange deal. And bank manager is like, "Oh, I really must apologize that the alarm's going off. Believe it or not, our security system has been completely disabled because of this bomb that's gone off. But thank God nobody knows about this. Could you imagine what would happen if somebody would know about this?" And then as he's saying this, his guards are being like battered and like knocked out in the background, and Simon takes out a gun and he's like, "Oh, we're going straight to the withdrawal." So, the mask is off now. We realize that these guys are actually here to rob the bank, to rob the gold in the Federal Reserve or whatever it's supposed to be. And all this stuff with the bombs is really essentially a distraction to have all the police running around on a wild goose chase, being distracted and looking for bombs. And it will give these guys plenty of time to load up these dump trucks filled with gold bars and get the hell out of there before the cops can even realize what's going on. So that's our kind of insight into what's going on. So in the meantime, Zeus and McLean, they've made their way to the next phone. They got there in ridiculous fashion. They drove a taxi cab through Central Park, nearly killed a bunch of people to get there. And they get to like the phone or wherever they have to go, and there's a little note there. Oh no, they pick up the phone and Simon's like, "What has 4 legs and is always ready to travel?" Which is an elephant, apparently. I actually didn't. I was not aware of this elephant fucking joke or elephant
I've
saying.
never heard that one.
Because Zeus is all like, "What the fuck, man? Don't you have kids? It's an elephant fucking thing." I was like, "Well, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have kids though, so you know." So anyway, the next task is that you have to put 4 gallons of water on top of this waste to disarm the bomb. And it has to be 4-gallon jug exactly. But it's another one of these mathematical problems where they've got like a 2-gallon jug, a 3-gallon jug, and a 4-gallon jug or some shit. I can't remember, but basically they have to work out the amount of water you put in each jug in order to get exactly 4 gallons. Put the jug on top of the waste, and it will disarm the bomb. So that's the next task that they have to perform. Zeus works it out pretty well. He's kind of good at that type of thing, and they manage to disarm the bomb. And then once again, Simon is like, "Well, I'm still not going to tell you where the bomb in the school is, but I'm going to give you another task." So even McLean at this point is kind of like, "This motherfucker is just sending me around, you know, at his beck and call, at his whim." But they go along to the next step, which I believe is it's like, what's 21 out of 42, I believe is the riddle. The answer will turn out to be like the 21st president, which is Chester A. Arthur. Don't fucking quiz me on this shit, folks. I'm not an American. I don't know this shit. I'm sure even a lot of Americans don't know their own history either. So like, I'm not going to fucking feel bad for not knowing it. But yeah, that's the answer to that next riddle. But yeah, at this point in the movie, there's just so much fucking moving parts going on. You've got the cops going through the schools doing the searches for the bombs. You've got John McClane and Zeus running across the city trying to get to the next area so they can complete the next task for Simon. And then you've got Simon himself and his goons actually robbing the Federal Reserve and doing that whole thing. There's also a bit of tension, it seems, between Simon and the next level in command guy, the big German fella, who also has a blonde missus who has a propensity for like slashing up cops and security guards, because we see when they're breaking into the vault, she like comes up behind one of the security guys and like hacks him up pretty brutally with like a sickle
I
blade.
like that she has no lines of dialogue in the film. Every time you see her, she's just blank faced. You just
Yeah.
know she's dangerous. She never says anything.
Yeah. The silent assassin. So, well, what's going to happen next is there's a few things. So first of all, McLean begins to put it together about, because he's also remembering the earlier conversation about dump trucks being stolen. He's beginning to put it together. Him and Zeus at one point, they run into a child who's stealing like Twinkies or something from a shop, and John McClane's like, "What are you doing? Are you willing to throw your life away just for this candy or whatever?" And the kid's like, "Look around, man. It's Christmas. There's not a cop anywhere. You could steal City Hall." And this is what sparks the light bulb in John McClane's
Yeah,
head.
they're all running around and like bloody chickens with their heads cut off, and it's his first pause to go, "Hang on, he's right. This is all a big distraction. There's other shit going on."
So he starts to put it together, and he's like, "Okay, what does Wall Street?"
And then they steal the kids' bikes after telling them off for stealing, which I love. The cop steals the kids' bikes.
They commandeered them. Yeah, so
they commandeered.
John McClane, they go back to the site of the last bomb, and John McClane's more or less like, "Okay, Wall Street. What does Wall Street not have? Schools. There's no schools in Wall Street." And the second thing, what does Wall Street have? It has a shitload of banks, including the Federal Reserve. So he's starting to put the shit together. He walks into the Federal Reserve, and it's pretty funny because he's covered in blood. He's covered in like dirt and shit. But when he's walking in, he's like buttoning up his shirt, like he's trying to like tidy himself up before he goes into the bank. And he goes up to one of like the fake German security guards, and even like the fake German guy's like, "Are you okay, buddy? You look kind of like shit." And
I love how polite the terrorists pretending to be fake cops and security. They're like super polite.
Yeah, they're super polite, but they keep getting their English expressions mixed up, which is what.
Yeah, which is good. I like that.
Because he says it's like raining dogs and cats today, or something like that. You know, he kind of says it backwards, but John's like, "Look, I'm a cop. I'm just kind of here to inspect what's going on. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a little look in the vault." And the German guys are like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure. Let's all go down in the elevator." So John's in the elevator with these 5 fake, there's fake security people, there's fake cops.
It's like the scene in Avengers Captain America, and all the guys turn out to be Hydra.
Yeah. So McClane, he can see in the mirror reflection in the elevator, he can actually read the badge number on the guy's badge, and he realizes it's the 6691.
I love that scene. I love that scene so much. And he's real subtle about it, because first he sees the reflection on the stainless steel of the elevator, and he casually looks and goes, "Oh shit, it's not who he's supposed to be."
And we got a pretty it happens so fast, but it's one of the most violent things you'll ever see.
Brutal scene in the film. He just like straight out executes like 4 or 5 guys in like a few seconds.
We got like we got the execution pistol style. We got a couple of broken necks maybe in there. Like a lot of bad shit goes down in that elevator in the space of like.
I can't remember what he says something like, "Oh, it's just here in my pocket," and he pulls out the gun and he's like shooting the guy point blank in the guts and the chest. And
he's like, "Does anybody have the lottery ticket here? I have them right here." And then he fucking lets loose. I will take a moment actually just to say, if there's any wrestling fans listening today, one of the German guys, you were thinking ahead, So Ludwig Borga, and there's a couple of guys. There's 2 guys. Yeah, there's Damien Demanto's there and Ludwig Borga. Ludwig Borga, I believe, is one of the German lads who gets killed in that elevator. You see him here disguised as a cop. I think he gets blown away in the elevator. And Damien Demanto is another one of the henchmen or bodies there. So we got a couple of wrestling personalities showing up. I don't know if you know anything about Ludwig Borga in real life. We might save that for a show where we actually get. Well, sure. He's going to come up where we are in the timeline, so I won't say anything about him now. But if anybody wants to read something controversial, Google Ludwig Borga and go look at his personal life section on Wikipedia. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, moving swiftly on. from that little distraction. So McLean, he brutally kills all these fake cops and security guys, makes his way down to the vault, and he realizes, yeah, it's exactly as I suspected. Everything was a distraction. The vault has been completely cleared out. There's one bar of gold left on the floor, which he actually throws to Zeus, and Zeus is kind of like, well, fuck it, I'm keeping this. So they hop back in the taxi cab and they start making their way, I believe, towards the aqueduct, because I think that's where the last sighting was of where all the dump trucks were heading. And we got a kind of other, I suppose you could call it like a subplot or sub angle here. Apologies for the wrestling terminology, but we get we get this other guy, the kind of second in command to Simon, discovering that all the gold has been replaced with like metal slack. And he kind of confronts Simon about it, and he's like there saying to Simon, the others like, oh, he's betrayed us. Our plan was to like blow up all this gold and send a message to the West, but Simon is actually just going to take the gold for himself. And Simon's like, yeah, pretty much. And then the guy's woman like stabs him in the back, literally stabs him, like stabs him with a knife and like hacks him up. And yeah, it turns out Simon and the rest of the crew, they don't intend to like destroy this gold or like sink it at the bottom of the ocean or whatever the original plan was. They're going to actually just load it up and set sail, and they're going to buy an island, or they're going to buy a country. As Simon says, yesterday we were an army without a country, but tomorrow we have to decide which country we want to buy. So that's this big ass plan that they have. But
just on side note, I like that the getaway with the trucks and the tunnels reminds me of both Heat, the Michael Mann film, or Italian Job, Michael Caine. Both like have tunnel scenes where the bad guys are getting away.
I was kind of jumping ahead there a bit to that gold plot, because I did neglect to mention two big kind of action set pieces we get. We get the John McClane almost getting drowned in the aqueduct when he has
when he's in there.
You've got that guy, that aqueduct security guy, telling them all about the history of when the aqueduct was built, and he's also the guy who tells them that Chester A. Arthur was the 21st president or whatever.
Yeah, that like truck driver guy. He feels like so genuinely New York when he's in the truck and he's like all falling over, just like, oh, it's you a truck driver? Like, what does he say? It's like, no, I'm a ballerina or some shit. Like he says like some real smart ass New York thing, even though he's like injured and half unconscious.
It reminds me a little bit of the janitor guy in Die Hard 2 in the airport, where it's like they have this really niche role, but they know it so well that they're like an invaluable piece of information to anybody who needs to know something about them.
It does play into that whole like John McClane working class man sort of character, that he's actually going to listen to someone who's just a regular person doing a job and not a cop or anything that actually helps them.
We also do in the scene before the water floods into the aqueduct, we do get a moment where we get a Christmas reference, and possibly a reference to the last two movies, where John McClane is like, hey, before he shoots two terrorists, he's like, hey, have you guys seen someone coming through here? He's a big fat guy on with reindeer, and he blows them away. It's pretty funny. So yeah, the reason there's water.
In that same scene, he tells him his name is Mickey O'Brien.
Yeah, Mickey O'Brien. That's right. But yeah, so yeah, we get that whole. The reason the aqueduct also is flooded with water is because Simon detonates a bomb which causes the place to flood. So McClane, he's narrowly able to escape. He jumps up a vent and pretty much gets blown out the vent like a geyser.
Which reminds me of number 2, here is the scene where he ejects out of the plane. Well, it's ejects, but then the explosion, but on a smaller scale.
And so him and Zeus, they're reunited again, and they manage to determine that the gold has been loaded onto this boat that's literally kind of leaving the docks as they're trying to catch up in it. And they make a decision. First, they're thinking, oh, look, maybe we can jump from this bridge down onto the boat. But McClane's like, no, it's a 100-foot drop. We're going to die. So then they decide, okay, we've got one of these you know, those like metal wire rods that attach to the front of the Jeeps that they're driving. They
like
manage
the
to tie it
cable.
to something, and they're gonna shimmy down this cable basically and get
Won't
onto the
completely
boat.
like rip your hands to shreds.
Yeah. And we
Like
do get
Jackie
some of that
Chan.
though, don't we? Like John McClane's arms and hands get pretty badly fucked up
Yeah,
when everything
if
goes
you did
wrong.
that
I
in
think
real
is
life, your hands would just be complete hamburger. You would probably never use them
yeah,
again,
yeah.
and you'd
You'd
die
never
from
be able
falling
to
as
do it.
well.
And especially if you're in a situation where, especially someone like John McClane, who's had a really rough day of being banged
Yeah.
around and he's already exhausted, like he would have gripped onto that rope and just like immediately dropped from exhaustion, you
Yes.
know. But
Yeah,
they
it's probably the most nonsensical, unrealistic bit of the film, but it works for they've got to make the plot go forward, and it's an action movie, so you just go with it.
they do eventually though make it onto the boat after injuring themselves, and we got a funny moment where they split up. Zeus is given a gun. He's asking John McClane, you know, like, how do I use this? And John McClane, oh, you just point it and pull the trigger, you know, simple dimples. And then a few minutes later, Zeus he confronts Simon, and he's like, you know, freeze, motherfucker. And Simon's like, you know, well, you're gonna have to kill me. And Zeus is like, okay, and he goes to pull the trigger, but it just goes click, click. And Simon just walks over, takes the gun. He's like, you forgot to turn the safety off.
Safety.
So just shoots him in the leg. It's a really, really funny moment
good.
in the movie.
He's so casual about it too. He could have killed him then, but he's just like, oh, he just shoots him in the leg.
And it's John McClane's fault because John McClane said, all you have to do is point and pull the trigger. He did not tell him about the safety. No. So,
and we presume he's never handled a gun before. He just works in a shop.
And John McClane himself, he's discovered when he finds the gold, and he's beat up by that big German fella I mentioned earlier on, who himself will later be killed once the plot is uncovered that the gold has been switched, and it's a big switcheroo. So we got a situation where Simon, he imprisons Zeus and John McClane. He has them essentially tied up against the big bomb on the boat, and he's going to leave them there to die. And just as he's, you know, John, he's trying to get a rise out of him. He's like, oh, you know, your brother was a real asshole. And Simon's like, yeah, you're right. He was an asshole. he does, yeah, he was, you know. He was still my brother, though, you know. And so we get this moment where, you know, Simon, he's about to leave, and John and Zeus are tied up, and John's like, hey, Simon, I got a real bad fucking headache all day. Like, you know, you got any aspirin? And Simon's like, ha 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 ha, you're so funny, McClane. And he actually throws him the bottle of aspirin, which kind of lands on his lap, and then he kind of fucks off. So we got another little bit of rough nastiness here where, you know, Zeus needs to pick the lock of the handcuffs, so John McClane pulls a splinter of metal out of his arm from where they shimmy down on the.
And it's the third or fourth time where Sam Jackson's like basically calling McClane a racist and black man, I know how to pick a lock. So no, you're a fucking locksmith. You know how to do it or not.
So yeah, he's able to pick the lock with the bloody thing, and John gets free. John tries to disarm the bomb, but he's unsuccessful. So then he comes up with the, to be fair, quick thinking idea, oh, if I maybe smash in the glass, the liquid will start draining out, so it will buy us some extra time to escape, which it does. They manage to pretty much jump off the boat just as it explodes. And
and he uses a tiny dab of it to bust the handcuffs, the way the bomb tech guy demonstrated having a tiny drop earlier.
Yeah, great idea on John's part. So they escape, and the boat is blown up, and you know, John's like, well, Simon got away, and Zeus is kind of like, well, you know, at least we lived to tell the tale, and now you can phone your wife and get shit straightened out. And you know, we the audience know it's not the end of the movie, because you know, you don't end the movie like that. But you know, John McClane, he's walking over to the phone, he's about to ring home to Holly. He actually does dial and gets on the phone, but as he's taking the aspirin that Simon gave him, he notices that there's an address actually written on the bottle, and I believe it's the address of some like border hotel that's like right on the border somewhere.
Yeah, well, it says Quebec, Quebec, like as in like Canada border. So that's at
Yeah.
first I'm like, what? He obviously recognized it, but until they show the close up of the neon sign, that's when you know it's like he's in his head. He went, oh, that's how he knows he has the gold, and they've done a switcheroo.
And this goes back to the bit I mentioned earlier, where Simon is all like, oh, you know, yesterday we were an army without a country, but tomorrow we just have to decide what country you want to buy, and all the terrorists are celebrating, and Simon and the dangerous silent blonde lady kind of give each other the eyes. So it's like, oh, well, let's go up to this back room and just fuck, I guess, because we're both psycho killers.
Shirts off, Hulk Hogan style.
Yeah, it gets. You think she's going to stab him, but then it gets all like hot and heavy. And it's at this moment that a helicopter spotlight shines through the window, and it's John McClane over the speaker. He's like, "Hey, fuckhead," you know, and now we get into like our kind of final act. Now I'll go through what happens in the final act, and then I just want to. We're obviously going to discuss it a bit more, but I just want to say no. I'll wait till I'll talk about what happens first.
There's so much that happens because like the film's basically done. And then we get a whole 10-minute encore of all this more action and other cool stuff happening.
Yeah, we got a crazy moment where all the terrorists start fleeing the building they're in, but they're all cut off by cops on the ground. McClane is still in the helicopter, which is like a normal
the helicopter takes off out of the building along with the trucks and flies up, and then we get a helicopter battle.
We get a helicopter battle with Simon and the silent assassin woman in a like a proper military helicopter with like a mounted machine gun. So Simon is like blasting the fuck out of the helicopter McClane's in, and McClane only has this like little 6-shooter pistol. And we do get this great moment though where we think Simon finally has McClane dead to rights, because the helicopter, it's been landed, but it's like about to blow up, and you know, John is stuck on the chopper. He only has this little tiny pistol, and Simon's about to take aim, and then John realizes that Simon's helicopter is hovering right beneath this massive, like, electrical fucking lines and poles.
It kind of becomes a western for a minute because he's got this like little pea shooter, and it's like it's pretty much got this one shot, and they're both like lining up like in the old westerns where they're facing off and they've got to get off their shot at the exact moment.
So John, he pulls the trigger, hits the electrical box, the lines come down, they catch around Gruber's helicopter.
Complete bullshit, but it's awesome.
Yeah, big explosion. They're dead, and McClane wins the day. This is what I wanted to say, right? For me, and it's the one thing I feel every time I watch Die Hard with a Vengeance. I feel like the climax to the movie probably should have taken place around the time they got to the boat. Like, I feel like I do enjoy that last 10 minutes with the helicopters and shit, but it just feels like it's kind of like we were saying, like it feels like the story kind of almost ends and then just jump starts again.
The running time of the film was 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is at least 5 minutes of credits. But it feels like it's just that little bit longer than it needs to be. Like they could have kind of wound it up earlier.
I feel like on the boat would have been a good time to do it. A showdown on the boat.
Yeah. I didn't know until today. I was looking up just bits, little trivia or obscure stuff about it. They filmed an alternate ending for the film, but it's just McClane and bloody Simple Simon bloody just talking, just dialogue back and forth. It's not like fancy or anything. But the alternate ending is the original ending before they actually says they reshot it. He gets away with the gold, and they don't have that helicopter battle thing. But they do have, hang on, I'm just trying to load up my page here so I can read what it said again. There we go. Go back to here. Yeah, okay. So the heist, he gets away, the boat scene, like they're on the boat, they live and get away from the bomb. But Simon gets away with the gold, as in gets away like that's it. They don't catch up to him at all. And then McClane tracks him down something like 6 months later, confronts him in this room where he's at like a desk. They have this back and forth dialogue, and then he shoots him with a rocket launcher. Just executes him. And apparently that was the original ending. And then they apparently they reshot it because they went, well, that kind of goes against the whole character of John Clane being this working class guy. He's not like fucking Golgo 13, like an assassin tracking this guy down 6 months later on his own time. But it's on YouTube, but it's not terribly interesting to watch. Oh, and it said actually it was even worse than that. That was the kind of story stuff, but in the background, not stuff you really see in the film, but the background. Also, he basically like loses his job again and gets like more depressed, and it's like the start of the film, but even worse.
We should probably mention as well the bomb in the school. It turns out to be a fake. It wasn't a real bomb. It was like a decoy.
Like red corn syrup or something.
And I think Simon actually even has a line like, you know, "Oh, I'm a criminal, not a
soldier,
monster,"
not a monster.
like that. Yeah, that's it.
Like, I'm a soldier, not a monster.
But yeah, I feel like if they'd had some type of showdown on the boat where there was like a big shootout and then some type of action set piece to end it, I just feel like it always feels to me like there's that extra 10 minutes of just kind of like, this is really weird. It always feels weird. And I always forget about it. Every time I go to watch the movie, I can never remember.
Like finished and then it's like, oh, there's this whole other 10 minutes. And you could have either not had it. I mean, it's shot real. It's an awesome action scene. But it feels redundant, or you could have had some of that earlier in the film or something if you really wanted to have the helicopter battle, just put it earlier, or, you know.
Where do you rank it in the original trilogy? Is it like in
it's
the
really
order
hard
of
for
release,
me because like I love Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. I love all three of them. I'd almost say equally. Like it's just I can't fault it, and it really feels like the end of an era for like these 80s style action films that are like got heaps of cool practical effects and cool stuff. Bruce Willis is still moonlighting, charming as hell. He's still got a bit of hair on his head. It's getting wispier, but he's still got some before we get into the full bald-headed mode we see post-2000. And before he gets on to doing some pretty, you know, dodgy films the rest of his career, he's still like charming as hell. Sam Jackson is great, and well, Sam Jackson continues to be great the next 20 fucking years. I just love it. It's just such a good film, and it reminds me in a good way of like Beverly Hills Cop and Lethal Weapon, which are like have a bit more different style and all that, and more humor, obviously, in other ones, but serious stuff as well. And it just feels, the worlds feel so lived in. There's not too many rapid cuts. We get to see like New York. We get to see the cop station. We get to see all the different places. It's not just standing on studio lots and heads cutting back and forth. Like, and the more you get into the era of like more CG and shit, and like Avengers and Fast and Furious 5 and 6, which I love, but it's a lot of just explosions and people flying around on wires and stuff like Kung Fu movie style, and like it feels much more grounded and real in this film, other than going down that cable and not turning your hands into hamburgers.
How do you think it would have worked out if they'd set it at Christmas?
I think it would have been a bit cliched if they'd done it, because in the second one they're like, how can this happen to the same guy again? And it's like, I feel like the third one quite wisely mixed up the formula, but with enough callbacks to earlier stuff that it still makes sense. And like the idea of like Simon being the brother of the other guy, that didn't have to be there, but it just makes it raises the stakes where, you know, like that psychologist guy early on in the first 15 minutes, he's like, oh, this guy knows you. He really doesn't like you, and he definitely wants you dead, but he's going to fuck around and toy with you as long as he can, like a cat with a mouse before he gets to it. It's like that psychologist guy was like spot on.
And like there's a few, like even the brief scene with the FBI where we kind of get like, it's kind of called back to the first movie where it's like these FBI guys are kind of fucking clueless. It's really McClane who's going to get everything sorted out.
They're like, we don't want to know what you know. And he's like, McClane's like, I don't know anything. There's a guy and he's setting off bombs. That's it. I just like, I woke up, I got a hangover, now I'm here. That's all I know.
Yeah, but John McTiernan, man, he does good stuff. You know, and I'm glad he came back, because, and I know like someday we might do like a fucking bad movie triple threat with some of the other ones, maybe. But you'll never ever see another Die Hard film like this again. You'll just never see a film like this again. They just wouldn't.
No, that's what I mean. It's like the end of an era. Like, I mean, in other Tiernan ones, we had Predator, original Die Hard, Last Action Hero, Hunt for Red October, and Die Hard 3. Like, that's a hell of a lot of awesome bloody action films. But they're also action films that got heart and story and characters in them as well.
And all action movies are great soundtracks too. They had a really good score in this Die Hard movie. Very exciting. But yeah, you'll never see a movie with balls like this again, and that's just the truth.
Like, things really changed. Like, to me, when it got to when Schwarzenegger went from, like, you had like fucking Running Man, Commando, Predator, Kindergarten Cop, I really enjoyed, but it was getting like more comedy. Junior, I saw Junior at the cinema. I enjoyed it. It was a different film. But everything kind of after that, we had like what was it, Last Days or whatever? He's fighting the devil or something in a race. I was like, oh my god, this is finished. This is over. It's done. We're not going to see this kind of film again. It's just finished.
Yeah, and for the most part, it kind of was. It survived for a little while in the form of like straight to DVD movies.
Yeah,
and shit,
there was more there was like the shitloads of more straight to DVD Jean-Claude and Steven Seagal stuff. They've got more straight to DVD than they did when they were making the better films.
It was like a few years after this, though, we get stuff like Blade and The Matrix, and it changes how action.
They're great action films, but it's the end of like the tough guy action hero, where it's like a genuinely good film and great director and great set pieces and practical effects, and
I just kind of love the general kind of grit and grime in a movie. Fucking people sweating and
it
being
stands
tired
up so well. Like watching it again today, like it was probably the most enjoyable time I've ever watched it, which I can't say that about many films. I've seen this at least 5 or 10 times, but I haven't seen it for quite a few years. And watching it today, it's like, man, this just kicks ass in most films you're going to see now.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And, like I said, it's sad in some ways that we don't get to see Holly or Al Powell or that, or even that annoying reporter guy. But in other ways, though, it makes sense.
Well, this is not bogged down with too much side stuff.
Yeah. And plus, the thing about having Holly in it, it's kind of hard to just have her in the movie if she's not going to actually be central to the plot. Like, there's no need to rescue her or save her.
You could have had her on the phone, I guess. Still could have had her, like, the actual actress talking on the phone for a scene or something.
Yeah, something like that. But look, at least she's mentioned. At least it's not totally, like, swept under the rug.
It doesn't have a mysterious daughter yet or other nonsense.
Yeah. But yeah, it was Die Hard with a vengeance. I would like to hear what people have to say about it. Definitely a favorite of mine and Johnny's, as you can probably tell by our enthusiasm for it. But it is the end of an era in many ways for those type of movies. For me, I'd actually for the Die Hard trilogy original, I might go 1, 3, 2. I think I like John McTiernan's one's the best, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I still really love Die Hard 2.
Also did Midnight Meat Train and other fun films.
But definitely, folks, let us know. Did you enjoy Die Hard with a Vengeance? Did you persevere with the series afterwards? Did you try and do Die Hard 4.0 or Live Free and Die Hard or whatever the fuck the other shit is called? Or
I don't even know what number 5 is called. I remember number 5 was definitely the worst. I don't think they get worse than number 4, but number 5 was definitely the worst one.
Yeah, 4. Like, I remember with 4, they released, like, it was like, oh, for the DVD, we're having like an extended director's cut. It's a totally different movie. And then all it really was there's some extra cursing and you see John McClane smoking a cigarette. Yeah. That's what was so fucking like hardcore about it.
I like Kevin Smith's films and podcasts and that, but like, why is he talking just randomly? Let's go to Kevin Smith in the basement for a really long scene. It's like, feels so pointless.
Yeah, I saw that in the cinema. The only Die Hard movie I saw in the cinema, unfortunately, was Die Hard 4.0.
I was as I was watching this today, I was like, man, I would love to see this on the big screen now, like Die Hard 3. I would so love to watch it.
The good news is, though, we still have shitloads of good action movies that we can talk about on this show. Like, there's tons of ones we still haven't gotten to yet, and we will.
There's a guy who can do the splits. He'll be back again next year.
Yeah. bit of JCVD.
Another guy who can kick really high, and he's got a beard and sometimes a hat, and he'll be back next year.
Yeah. Go Chuck. We're gonna be, yeah.
Chuck
All
E.
our old favorites return. I'm sure Stallone will return. We have a bit of, you know, we broke the back of First Blood. We did First Blood 1, so we can do like Rambo 2 and 3 and 4 and all that good stuff.
There might be next year. We might do another action movie month for some of these dudes.
Yeah, because we're hitting stuff like The Running Man and all.
I just watched that again the other night. I finally got on Blu-ray because I ordered it months ago and it never turned up. And I think my bank card, the old one, changed over that month, so the payment never went through. And I was like, "Where the fuck's my movie?" So to order it again.
I love The Running Man. Another movie with a great soundtrack as well. But
it's cheesy.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It's even that. I was watching that. I was like, "Oh man, this is like real B material all the way through." But I was like, "Man, this is still better than some of the stuff they're making now."
Oh yeah. I'll tell you might, if you ever get a chance, and if you haven't before, the actual short story that The Running Man is based on, it's like Stephen King, but he wrote it under like a different name. But it's a really good little short story, The Running Man. If you ever get a chance to read it, very different to the movie.
Yeah, I know.
I do love the movie though. But that, folks, let us know where Die Hard with a Vengeance sits on your love or hate meter. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's a suitable end to the original Die Hard trilogy? It definitely gave us a very enjoyable segment in the Die Hard trilogy PlayStation game where you're running across, driving all over New York, and trying to disarm the bombs. Great fun.
The game, actually, that game is more violent than the movie because people get splattered on the windscreen with blood, and it's quite disgusting.
Back when it was a trilogy, and that's all we needed.
Yeah. Stop making redundant sequels to movies. Actually, when this came out, we had the first two movies were only like 2 or 3 years apart. This was like 5 years later. When it first came out, I was skeptical. I was like, "Oh, it's been a while. It's probably going to be rubbish. It's been too long." I'm like, no, awesome film. Now we're used to seeing sequels and remakes 10, 20 years later. It's like, no, stop doing it. If it's been more than 3 to 5 years, leave it alone.
Yeah. Some things are best left where they were, and when enough time passes, you don't always just need to revisit everything. But then again, it's not about when you're only solely driven by profit and a lack of ideas, you'll just keep going back.
Ferris Bueller has another day off and meets the Karate Kid. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if it came out next year.
Son of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
Do we know what's on the cards for next week?
Oh yeah, okay. I'll run this by. We've got some options, but let me know your feelings on what do you reckon about this one here?
Ooh, I'm digging it already. I was
thinking about the beginning of this year, and we didn't quite get to it, but I thought that because you got Die Hard, Beverly Hills Cop, Lethal Weapon, all the cop, films.
Yeah, I'm down for Beverly Hills Cop. I'm definitely down for Beverly Hills Cop. Bit of Axel Foley.
Just stay out of LA. Do not go to LA. You've been banned for life.
And we were talking today about how calm of mind and reasonable Walter was in Die Hard 3. Wait till you see the chief of police in Beverly Hills Cop. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's full on.
Yeah. Dude has literal steam coming out of his ears, it feels like, when he's fucking shouting, Yeah, that'll be good.
I love when Eddie Murphy does that. Got a laugh in the film. So good.
Yeah, the Axel Foley laugh.
Yeah.
Sounds like a donkey.
Okay, thanks for tuning in. Guys, leave us a like. Tell us if you're into Die Hard 3 or which of the first three, discounting what came after. Which of the first three was your favorite one?
It's the opposite of Die Hard, live easy.
Die with difficulty.
Die with difficulty, yeah. The Germans die with difficulty. Yeah, good times, and hope everybody's staying safe and keeping well, and you all take care out there.
Yeah.